guys, so today I'm bringing you a review and an update on the book club I Like Big Books. I started this about, I want to say 5 months ago, as a way of encouraging people to read books that are 500 pages or more, and not feel too much pressure, so we gave them about 2 months to read. So far we have read Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell, and Wilkie Collins' The Woman in White. The current book that we are reading is Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, which is the book I'm going to be reviewing today, and we're reading that for October-November. This month I was able to get it done really quickly, same with Wives and Daughters. Last time I think I had like 6 or 7 days to spare. It was a really busy time for me to be reading The Woman in White, so I just made it in under the wire. Generally, what I try and do for these read-alongs and book club stuff is read about 25 pages a day. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes I'm busy, like on Wednesdays I have a really long day of school, like I leave at like 5:45 in the morning and I get back at like 8 o'clock at night and I'm just exhausted. The last thing I feel like doing is reading my 25 pages, so I tend to avoid that on Wednesdays, and some days I have more time and so I read like 100 pages. There's no real set thing, but if you guys want to join, I always put the link to that group in the description below, so that'll be there. So let's get on. I read from my drop cap edition. I actually got this really cheap. It's an overstock one, as you can tell from the line, but it was $9.99 at BMV when I bought it. I think this was the second drop cap I bought. I've got quite a few more, and I really like reading from these editions. My only complaint is that there's no like critical essays or introduction to them, which I tend to skip the introduction until after I've read the work because I don't want to be spoiled, but it is nice to have something to kind of follow up with. So if you don't know the plot summary for this, I'll give you a brief synopsis. Basically, the story starts out with Pip. I think he's like 7. Let me just double check. I think it's on the first page. And it doesn't say it, but he's really young. And he's at the gravesite of his parents. He's being reared by hand by his sister and her husband Joe, and he meets a convict who basically scares the bejesus out of him and tells him he has to get a file for him. So he goes back to his house, steals the file and some food, which is really nice for the prisoner. He feels a bit guilty about it, but he gives it to the prisoner, and then basically the whole story goes around there. It's just fantastic. He is suggested as a playmate for Mrs. Havisham's adopted daughter Estella, who he falls madly in love with. He gets raised, basically he finds out that an anonymous benefactor basically decides to raise him to a gentleman status and give him the money to do that and give him the training to do that. And it's basically just how he goes from being basically his prospects of being a blacksmith to being a gentleman. And it's just, honestly, I really enjoyed this novel. This was my first ever Dickens. I think my favorite character was probably Mrs. Havisham by a long shot. Pip's okay. Pip is, you know, your typical young man in the, I want to say 18th century, 18th, 19th century. He, you know, is madly in love with this girl who he sets up on a pedestal, but, you know, she's got all kinds of issues and such. But Mrs. Havisham is probably the most nuanced character. I'm also a big fan of Biddy and Joe. I love the way that their story is resolved. Yeah, and I actually really like his friend, Humphrey. I think it's Humphrey. I can't remember, but yeah. So I would highly recommend reading this. If you want to join the group, feel free to. It's down below. You can still get in on this. There's still lots of time to finish this. You have a month to finish it. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing for our next one. We do vote on them. But yeah, so I will see you guys later on in the week. Bye.